Durban residents were likely exposed to over 60 chemicals from the smoke that spread across the city when the UPL chemical warehouse was set alight during the July unrest. And that's according to an atmospheric impact report produced by airshed planning professionals. Durban residents have been pleading with for more information on which toxic chemicals they were exposed to. And we speak now to Desmond D'Sa from the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance for reaction to this report. Desmond, good to have you, and good morning to you. Is this progress that we're seeing here in terms of the report, does it give some clarity that you've been seeking for months now as to what exactly residents in Durban were exposed to? Your reaction?
Yeah, good morning and good morning to the listeners. This is one of the major reports we've been calling for to be released from government as well as UPL. And you would recall that 3 days after this incident, I was invited by the communities of Blackburn, Umhlanga, Mhloti and all to come up there and to assist. And the horrific smell, the fire went on for over 5 days and continuously, and that was a toxic soup. So you couldn't see what the different chemicals were, because all those chemicals went up together. And going into the most affected community, which was the Blackburn community, which is poor black people that live alongside, not a stone's throw from the fence line of this facility. They were coughing and they were complaining and of nausea. The children had runny noses. You know, when I saw all that, I saw the symptoms already, that this pollution had an adverse effect, and it will have an adverse effect given what I have been working with over 27 years, that you do not deject cancer or leukemia or some of the nasty just overnight. It takes a bit of time. With chronic asthma, you might get the symptoms immediately, but with other symptoms and health impacts, it does take time. And given the type of chemicals, we knew that these chemicals, quite a number of them were very dangerous and they were banned in the EU. So having them brought here to South Africa without the public knowing about it was something that we were looking into. It was a travesty of justice because poor people did not have the literature on what impact these chemicals would have if something occurred. And now that we know it, communities are up in arms about it. We've been putting a lot of pressure on our government to ensure that a fund is set up so for the long-term adverse effects, because they would not have the necessary resources or the necessary medical treatment at the hospital.
Right. With that being said, I mean, 62 chemicals, so just over 60 chemicals identified present in the smoke, the most significant being hydrogen cyanide, hydrochloric acid, bromine. Desmond, what action will you be taking at this point? You mentioned earlier on that you were invited then by the community to look into exactly what happened post that fire at the warehouse. What action can we anticipate next now, post this report?
So what has happened is that since we met with the National Portfolio Committee and brought it to the attention that we have not had any information, nor did we have a face-to-face or even a virtual meeting with government. That has occurred in the last 2 weeks, so government has come to the party. We are hoping now that we will form part of the joint committees that have been formed with government as well as UPL, and then we can start asking those hard questions. But we have approached other entities in this country, Chapter 9 institutions, and we hope that when we presented all that evidence, that they will then take it up upon themselves as the Chapter 9 institutions to deal with these companies, because this is a huge and a serious human rights violation of the rights of people to live and to learn in an environment that's clean. You would recall that the school, Redfern, was affected. And those children were sent home for days after this. They couldn't go back to school. So it's not a small thing. This is a huge thing. We want to set a precedent in this country that any illegal and violations of the laws of the country, no matter who you are, no matter how much of money you have, no matter how big you are, you will be held accountable in this country. And our government has a duty of care to do so. And if they don't, we will approach the Chapter 9 institutions that we have done already to ask them to proceed, or the communities coming together to get legal advice and legal support, so that we can deal with UPL and the failure of them to manage their company, but also manage all those chemicals in a way that doesn't affect ordinary people
All right.
that live alongside them.
All right, Desmond, we'll have to leave it there, but I appreciate your time this morning, giving some feedback and reaction, of course, post that report posted, rather published, regarding that UPL warehouse fire from last year, July. Desmond D'Sa from the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance giving us his reaction.